I welcome you all to the video lecture on the topic Islamic banking. The concept of banking, with which we all are very well aware that banking organization is such an organization which is working with an intention, with an objective of earning profit out of interest. The basic function of the banking organization to accept deposits from the public do keep their deposits into the banking organization, and it is the basic function of the banking organization to accept these deposits from the general public and to issue loans to the borrowers who do demand the loans from banking organization. It means at the one side, banking organization accepts the deposits from the public, and banking organization which do supply credit, which do supply loans to the general public who demand for the purpose of loan at the banking organization. The banking organization will provide the loans to the public who approach to the bank organization for the loan purpose. And out of accepting deposit and lending the loans to the borrowers, the bank do earn profit out of it. It means when bank accepts deposits from the general public, they do pay certain amount as an interest to the public. And when bank provide loans to the borrower, then it also charge the interest over that issued loan, and out of that interest bank earn the profit out of it. So it means the earning profit is the main objective of banking organization. It earn profit out of interest. By charging the interests on loan, the banking organization earn it profit, or the banking organization earns it income out of that profit. But in the concept of Islamic banking, the interest is prohibited. The Islamic banking prohibits to earn the interest out of lending the amount to the borrowers. This is what the basic principle of Islamic banking is. It means Islamic banking is such an organization, Islamic banking is such a concept which objects or which prohibits on the basic principle of banking organization. It interrupts, it abolishes the concept of earning profit out of interest. So in this lecture, we are going to learn about this important concept of Islamic banking and how this Islamic banking organization do function without charging the interest on their loans, and how it manages the overall banking organization without accepting or without charging the loans, without charging the interest on their loans. This is what the basic feature of Islamic banking is. Now let us start learning what the Islamic banking is. The Islamic banking is based on the principle of Islamic Sharia. Islamic Sharia is the rules and regulations laid down by the Islamic religion on the public. The Sharia is nothing but the word it is used for the rules and regulations, or we can say the principle of Islamic religion. And this principle of Islamic Sharia, it prohibits the word interest. It avoids the receipts and payments of interest in its transactions. It means when bank accepts the deposits, it is known as receipts. So it avoids the receipt and payment of interest in its transactions. Means basically this principle of Islamic banking, the principle of Islamic Sharia, it objects, it rejects the concept of interest. Earning interest is prohibited in the Islamic law. Earning interest on the basis of the capital is prohibited in the Islamic religion, in the Islamic Sharia. And Islamic banking is such an organization which works over this particular principle. The profit and loss sharing, you can see this banking is also known as PLS banks. PLS banks means profit and loss sharing. Whenever the bank earns profit, it is expected to share that profit among the general banking organization, among all the people which are related with that organization. Whenever the bank organization earns profit, it is expected to share that profit among all the people. And when they face the loss must be shared among all the individuals who are connected with that particular organization. Therefore, this Islamic banking is also termed as PLS banks, profit and loss sharing banks. The third important point is about justice and equity in the economy. In order to establish justice and in order to establish equity among all the people in the economy, this concept of Islamic banking is propounded on the basic principle of justice and equity to establish justice and equity in the economy. The Islamic principle, the Islamic Sharia means the Islamic rule. It states that to charge the rate of interest from the borrower is an injustice with that particular individual. To charge the rate of interest on the borrower is the injustice with that particular borrower as per the Islamic law. Therefore, to make justice with the public and to establish equity in the economy, this concept of Islamic banking is founded. Just now I explained the concept of riba. The term RIBA, riba is the word which is used in the Quran, and this word is concerned with, related with the interest. The word riba is related with this word interest, and basically the Islamic banking prohibits this word interest. Just I mentioned about this concept of riba, just I mentioned about the concept of interest in the Islamic banking. The riba technically refers to the premium that must be paid by the borrower to the lender along with the principal amount as a condition for the loan. So this riba is basically rejected in the concept of Islamic banking. Now we will move towards the discussion on the basic features of Islamic banking. We can explain four basic features of Islamic banking. The very first feature of the Islamic banking is abolition of the interest. That is abolition of riba. The concept just I mentioned, the point just I mentioned, that Islamic banking objects or prohibits to charge the rate of interest from the borrowers. This means the abolition of the interest is the first feature of Islamic banking. The second one is the bank that must work in the public interest. That means working in the public interest. Because the banking is the organization which is based on the use of public funds. It collects, the bank is the organization which collects the funds from the general public. It accepts the deposits from the general public. So therefore, it should be work in the interest of the public rather than it should be work for the interest of the individual. Therefore, is Islamic banking, which is working for the public interest. Because the banking organization, it collects the deposits from the public. All the deposits of the banks which comes from the public, therefore it should be worked, it should be served for the interest of the public, for the socio-economic, in order to establish justice and socio-economic equity in the country. The banking organization should work, it should function. On that basic principle, this Islamic banking works. That's why the second feature of Islamic banking is work in public interest. Now, the third feature is the Islamic banking is a multi-purpose bank. Multi-purpose bank means it is, apart from functioning as a banking organization, it do provide various services. In other words, we can say to work just as a banking organization, not it works purely as a commercial bank. Apart from working as a commercial bank, it also provides various services to the general public. It means it works for the overall development of the economy. Not only it look over the development, but with the economic development, the Islamic banking take a look towards the establishment of equity in the economy. It also take a look towards the concept of justice, how the justice given to the borrowers and how the justice should be given to the depositors of the bank. If you are giving justice to the borrowers, then we must look towards the interest of, we must look towards the justice of the depositors who are depositing their amount in the bank. It is expected that when the depositor deposits the amount in the bank, he is depositing with some intention. So, in order to make the deposits, he are expecting some sort of profit, some sort of income over its deposit. So, what should be given to the depositors? The bank must think, the Islamic bank thinks over that matter. And what should be given and how justice to be given to the borrowers without charging the interest, how they can serve the purpose of the borrower, and how they will serve the purpose of the depositors. That should be managed, and the Islamic banking is the organization which work over this matter, which look over this. That's why it is a multi-purpose bank. Not works for the commercial purpose, it works for justice, it works for equity. Next concept is evaluation of investment demand. We are aware with the functioning of the conventional banking organization. The conventional banking organization, what they do, they accept the deposits, and whenever the banking organization lend the amount of loan, or when they issue the loan to the public, what they do, first they will look towards the safety. It means they collect the applications of loan, they look over the collateral, whether the person, the borrower is in a position to repay the amount, or they will collect some sort of collateral from the borrowers. And by collecting the collateral, or by evaluating the applications, that whether the borrower is in a position to repay, whether the borrower earns certain sort of permanent income in order to repay the loan, they evaluate these all things and they try to avoid the risk as much as possible. This is what happens with the conventional banking system. But in the Islamic banking, this is an organization, it is a type of cooperative organization which believes in sharing the risk. The sharing the risk means the risk must be shared among the people, among the people who are organized with this particular organization, who are connected with this particular organization. Instead of believing, instead of believing on the amount of collateral, they believe in risk sharing, and this risk sharing is very important concept which is related with the concept of Islamic banking. So these are the four important features which are related with the concept of Islamic banking. After the discussion of the features, one more point I would like to add over here for this risk sharing. While I was explaining the introductory part, I mentioned the Islamic banking as PLS banks. Islamic banking organization is also known as PLS banks. It is PLS means profit and loss sharing. Profit and loss sharing organization or profit or loss sharing bank means profit of the banking organization out of interest and loss of the banking organization, this is shared among the people, which is the banking organization which is running or functioning for the general public. Risk sharing means what? The profit and loss, sharing of the profit and loss. So these are the features of Islamic banking. Now we will move towards next point, that is objectives of Islamic. The basic objectives of Islamic banking are, the first objective is to offer the financial services with Islamic Sharia. Islamic Sharia, just now I mentioned that it is the principle of Islam, or it is the Sharia means the rules and regulations which laid down by the Islamic religion on the public. That is what the Sharia is. And the Islamic banking is such a banking which provide financial services with Islamic rules and regulations. The second important objective is the banking organization which is functioning for the development of overall economy. It contributes towards the economic development and prosperity of the public with the principles of Islamic justice or with the principles of equity. Third objective is about the optimum allocation of scarce financial resources among all the public who are connected with the banking organization. The allocation of resources means the financial resources must be reached to the public who are in need of the resources without giving or without charging the more rate of interest on the public, on the borrowers. How the available financial resources of the public can be utilized at the optimum level for the overall development, for the overall justice of the economy as a whole. That is what the Islamic banking look over the matter. The last objective is equitable distribution of. This is what the point which I elaborated, I explained while explaining the features of the Islamic bank. The Islamic banking which is working for the equity or equitable distribution of financial resources among all the people. So these are some basic objectives of Islamic banking which we can mention. The basic thing, what is the basic about the conventional system of banking and Islamic banking? While explaining the basic difference in between the conventional banking system and economic banking system, it is related with the debtor-creditor relationship. The relationship between the debtor and creditor. Here, while explaining the banking organization, the three important components or the three important points which we should mention. The first one is bank as an organization. The second important component is the depositors who deposits their money in the bank. And the third component is the borrowers who demand loans from the bank. So to maintain the relationship between the debtor and the creditor, the banking organization works as a mediator. It works as a mediator in between the debtors and creditors. So, what sort of relationship the organization can be maintained in between the debtors and creditors? That is the basic principle, that is the basic point which is related with the banking organization. And in conventional banking system, this conventional banking system, while maintaining the relationship between the creditor and debitor, sorry, in between the debtor and creditor, what bank do, it charges the rate of interest on their loans from the borrowers. Means bank is the organization in the conventional system. It charges while maintaining the relationship between the creditor and debitor. It charges the rate of interest from the borrowers to whom the bank lends the loan. But in the Islamic banking organization, in the Islamic banking system, the creditor should not take advantage of the borrowers. I mean, once who deposits the amount in the bank, they should not take any advantage from the public, from the borrowers. So this is what the basic thing which we should remember while learning about the concept of Islamic banking. I stop the lecture here. Thanks for your listening.